In the rich and expansive world of Indian Tantra, the divine feminine reveals herself in 10 distinct yet interwoven forms, known as the Dasha Mahavidyas. Among these fierce embodiments of truth and wisdom, Goddess Bhairavi stands as the flaming sword of inner transformation. She is the incinerator of ego, the fire of yogic tapasya, and the mother who demands complete authenticity. Fierce, untamed, and uncompromising, Bhairavi is not a goddess of comfort but of courage, of burning away all that is false so that the soul can rise pure and awakened. This journey will explore the many dimensions of Bhairavi, from her ancient origins to her modern-day spiritual relevance. Bhairavi's roots are found in the heart of Tantric literature, including texts like the Rudra Yamala Tantra, Bhairavi Tantra, and Devi Bhagavata Purana. According to mythology, she emerged during the cosmic crisis when Sati self-immolated in protest of her father Daksha's insult to Shiva. As Shiva spiraled into grief, the universe trembled. To restore balance and prevent the dissolution of cosmic order, 10 forms of the goddess, known as the Mahavidyas, manifested. Bhairavi was one of them, radiating such heat and power that time and ego had no choice but to surrender. In some texts, she is a manifestation of Chamunda, or a fierce form of Tripura Sundari, and in others, she is the consort of Bhairava, Shiva in his terrifying form. The name Bhairavi stems from the Sanskrit root Bhaira, which means frightful, terrifying, or formidable. But in the Tantric context, this fear is sacred. It is the fear we feel when ego is about to dissolve, when illusions shatter. Bhairavi is the feminine counterpart of Bhairava, who represents Shiva beyond form and time. If Bhairava is stillness, Bhairavi is the burning movement toward truth. She is often translated as the terrifying one, but a deeper reading reveals her to be the beyond fear one, who burns through all that is false with divine precision. Her name also means radiant, pointing to her inner fire, Tejas, that shines with spiritual intensity. Bhairavi's form is awe-inspiring, intense and symbolic. She is usually depicted with fiery red skin, her eyes bloodshot from spiritual intensity. Her hair is wild and disheveled, symbolizing her disregard for social norms and egoic order. A garland of skulls or severed heads decorates her neck, each head representing a conquered illusion, fear, or karmic pattern. She may carry weapons like a sword, trident, or flame, tools that cut, burn, and transform. Her extended tongue symbolizes the truth that cannot be contained. Every detail of her iconography is a metaphor for the inner path of awakening, harsh, raw, and ultimately liberating. Bhairavi is not just a deity, she is a force of nature, a philosophical state, a psychological threshold. She is the embodiment of tapas, the inner fire that arises from yogic discipline, deep suffering, or intense longing for truth. In yogic terms, she represents tejas, spiritual radiance, and virya, inner strength. She awakens not through ease but through challenge. She speaks the truth that hurts but heals. She demands that the seeker look into the mirror of their own unconscious. She tears away illusions and comfort zones. Philosophically, she represents the phase of spiritual maturity where devotion turns into integration and where the divine is no longer outside but a fire burning within. Bhairavi is often referred to as the fire of tapasya, the inner heat of discipline, willpower, and radical self-honesty. While earlier Mahavidyas such as Kali and Tara are associated with time and sound, and Tripura Sundari and Bhuvaneshwari embody beauty and space, Bhairavi represents the intensification of the seeker's inner fire. This fire is not gentle, it is uncompromising, like the sacred flame that purifies metal by melting it. In this way, Bhairavi becomes the inner crucible, a divine furnace where the impurities of the ego, illusion, and fear are burnt away. Without her, the spiritual journey risks becoming decorative or conceptual. Bhairavi ensures that it becomes real, lived, and transformational. As the fifth Mahavidya, she stands in the middle of the Mahavidya mandala. This is not a coincidence, but a deliberate esoteric placement. She acts as the central axis, the energetic pivot around which the entire sequence of Mahavidyas rotates. In Tantric cosmology, her placement signifies that no inner Mahavidya, those that represent more subtle transcendent states like Chinnamasta, ego sacrifice, Dhumavati, void, or Bagalamukhi, silence and control, can be approached without first undergoing the purification of Bhairavi's fire. She guards the inner sanctum of higher consciousness, allowing entry only to those prepared to surrender their false identities. Where Kali dissolves time and Tara offers divine sound, Bhairavi destroys the inner resistance that keeps us attached to ego-based time, speech, and thought. Her work is internal and psychological. She manifests through intense life experiences, emotional upheaval, deep spiritual longing, or fierce inner clarity. She is the moment when the seeker stops merely worshipping the divine and begins embodying it, even if that process demands pain, loneliness, or loss. Her flames strip away all spiritual pretensions, leaving behind only what is real and enduring. This is her gift: purity through pain, strength through surrender. Bhairavi's relationship with the Mahavidya Chinnamasta is particularly profound. While Chinnamasta severs her own head, symbolizing the cutting of ego and thought, Bhairavi prepares the seeker to undergo that symbolic death. She awakens the intense inner fire needed to move through the terror of ego loss without collapse. Bhairavi ensures that when the time for sacrifice arrives, it is done willingly, consciously, and powerfully. Without Bhairavi, Chinnamasta's message might appear violent or terrifying. With Bhairavi's fire, it becomes luminous. Similarly, before a practitioner can understand the stillness and silence of Dhumavati, the goddess of the void, they must walk through Bhairavi's inferno. Dhumavati represents emptiness, old age, and detachment from the world. But to reach her, one must first be burnt of all attachments, including attachment to progress, perfection, and pleasure. Bhairavi prepares the soul for that encounter by burning away desire, expectation, and the craving for spiritual experiences. She teaches the practitioner to sit with discomfort, to breathe through pain, to face the mirror without flinching. Her presence is also necessary before invoking Bagalamukhi, the goddess who stills the mind and silences the inner chatter. Bhairavi purifies the mind first, burning away mental restlessness, inner contradictions, and hidden fears. Only then can Bagalamukhi's golden silence become a sanctuary rather than a trap. Similarly, before wisdom can flow from Matangi, who governs sacred speech and intuitive knowledge, Bhairavi must cleanse the tongue and thoughts of falsehood, pride, and superficiality. Without Bhairavi, the later Mahavidyas are either inaccessible or misunderstood. On a subtler level, Bhairavi is the Mahavidya who transforms bhoga into yoga. She refines desire into discipline, emotion into insight, and worship into union. She challenges the seeker to no longer run from suffering, but to enter it with devotion and self-inquiry. She shows that every difficulty, every heartbreak, every inner wound can be a path to awakening if one allows it to burn one clean. In this, she is the true goddess of inner alchemy, turning the lead of ignorance into the gold of self-realization. In tantric rituals, Bhairavi is often invoked to stabilize the energies awakened by the first four Mahavidyas and prepare the inner body for the more radical forces of the final five. She is the spiritual firewall, the safeguard, the purifier. She ensures that the seeker is not consumed by their own power or deluded by mystical experience. With Bhairavi at the center, the Mahavidya sadhana becomes a coherent journey rather than a chaotic explosion of spiritual forces. Her role is both foundational and transformational, making her not just one of the 10, but in many ways the heart of them all. Ultimately, Bhairavi is the Mahavidya who ensures that truth is not just sought, but lived. She is the flame that will not let the seeker rest until every corner of darkness is illuminated. Her association with the Dasha Mahavidyas is not merely one of sequence, but of necessity. Without her, the path is incomplete. With her, the path becomes a dance of fire and liberation. She is the keeper of the flame, the guardian of truth, and the fierce mother who gives birth to the awakened self. Bhairavi is not just a deity. She is a force of nature, a philosophical state, a psychological threshold. She is the embodiment of Tapas, the inner fire that arises from yogic discipline, deep suffering, or intense longing for truth. In yogic terms, she represents Tejas, spiritual radiance, and Virya, inner strength. She awakens not through ease, but through challenge. She speaks the truth that hurts but heals. She demands that the seeker look into the mirror of their own unconscious. She tears away illusions and comfort zones. Philosophically, she represents the phase of spiritual maturity where devotion turns into integration, and where the divine is no longer outside, but a fire burning within. Worshipping Bhairavi is not a light-hearted affair. It is a path for the brave. Tantric practitioners invoke her during Amavasya, new moon nights, Navratri, and specific sadhanas aimed at awakening inner power and burning karmic residues. Her mantra, Om Aim Hreem Bhairavya Nama, is chanted for courage, clarity, and deep purification. Offerings include red hibiscus flowers, vermilion, fire lamps, and camphor. In advanced rituals, yantras, geometric diagrams, and inner visualizations are used to connect with her energy. Her worship is not about pleasing a deity. It is about standing naked before truth and saying, "Burn me, but let me be free." Her fire is seen as both destroyer and liberator. Bhairavi is worshipped in many powerful Shakti Pithas and Tantric shrines across India. The Tripura Bhairavi temple in Chhattisgarh is considered one of the most potent centers of her worship. In Berhampur, Odisha, she is venerated as Maa Bhairavi, a fierce guardian mother. In the Himalayas, her presence is felt in obscure shrines where only advanced yogis perform intense sadhana. The Kamakya temple in Assam, though primarily dedicated to Kamakya Devi, also has Bhairavi shrines for tantrics. These temples are often not grand or ornate. They are wild, mysterious, and raw, much like the goddess herself. They are places where the air itself crackles with spiritual electricity. In the system of Kundalini Yoga, Bhairavi represents the Kundalini Shakti that lies coiled at the base of the spine in the Muladhara chakra. When awakened, this energy rises through the central channel, Sushumna Nadi, burning through all chakras and purifying the seeker's consciousness. Bhairavi governs the fire of awakening, the intense phase where the seeker experiences bodily heat, emotional upheavals, and psychological purging. She is the energy that initiates movement and transformation. Yogis call upon her to awaken dormant energies, to burn past karmas, and to fuel the spiritual ascent. Without her, Kundalini remains asleep. With her, the soul rises like a flame toward ultimate union. In the modern world, Bhairavi has found new relevance, especially in the context of shadow work, psychological healing, trauma recovery, and feminine empowerment. She is often invoked in women's spiritual circles as the fierce protector and liberator. Therapists and healers resonate with her symbolism. She burns the false stories we tell ourselves and helps us integrate the wounded inner child, the repressed rage, and the unacknowledged grief. In a society that prefers spiritual comfort, Bhairavi brings spiritual confrontation. She reminds us that true healing requires fire, that truth is sometimes fierce, and that real growth demands the courage to let go of the old self. Goddess Bhairavi is not a goddess for those seeking quick fixes or shallow peace. She is for those who are ready to burn away their illusions and awaken to the fire of truth. She is the crucible of spiritual alchemy, the mother who wounds only to heal, who destroys only to purify. In the sacred geometry of the Dasha Mahavidyas, she is the pivot point, the guardian of transformation, and the keeper of inner fire. She doesn't offer you comfort. She offers you clarity, courage, and completion. To walk with Bhairavi is to say yes to the fire, and to rise from its ashes as something utterly real. If this journey into the fire of truth touched your soul, please like and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more light to seekers. Jai Ma Bhairavi.